Voyager 2 probe, the sun's protective bubble, which is called the heliosphere. The probe's been in space.
There's a silence in space that's unlike anything on Earth. Not the kind of silence you get in an empty room or even out in the wilderness. This one is absolute. It's the kind of silence that presses on you, that makes you feel small in a way no human sound ever could. Somewhere in that silence, more than 12 billion miles from home, a tiny machine floated alone, clinging to life. Its name was Voyager 2. And then, just when we thought we knew everything it could tell us, it spoke one last time. The message didn't come like a trumpet blaring. It wasn't a grand finale. It was a flicker, a pulse, faint and short. The people watching over Voyager, engineers, scientists, dreamers who had spent decades listening to its heartbeat, almost missed it. But when they saw what had arrived, that flicker turned into a wave of shock. It wasn't the expected stream of fading energy. It wasn't telemetry, data logs, or system check-in. What came through the void was something else entirely, an echo from the edge of the known universe, carrying a riddle wrapped in fear. In the sterile stillness of NASA's control rooms, a sudden burst of static broke the monotony of routine. That static gave way to something patterned, something deliberate. Bits and signals arranged not in chaos, but in a strange order. Sequences of prime numbers, patterns echoing Fibonacci spirals, precise timings that lined up with known cosmic radiation events. It felt purposeful, and terrifyingly so. At first, they hoped it was just a glitch. After all, Voyager 2 was built in the 1970s. Its computers less powerful than a digital watch today. It's a miracle the thing's been running at all, let alone whispering back from the edge of the stars. But the more the data was studied, the less sense that hope made. Glitches don't send organized mathematical structures. System failures don't mirror the architecture of nature's deepest code. Then, like a candle snuffed out, it stopped. Just like that, Voyager 2 went silent. No final wave goodbye. No farewell transmission. Just gone. That silence was louder than any alarm could have been. It left behind a trail of questions and one message, its last breath, that didn't fit into any box humanity had built to understand the universe. And that's when fear really started to creep in. Because Voyager 2 wasn't just drifting in deep space, it was in the heliopause, the outermost layer of the solar system, where the sun's protective winds run out of strength and the unknown begins. It's a frontier humanity has never crossed, a place so distant and cold that no sunlight reaches with warmth, where interstellar space begins and solar safety ends. We always suspected this region might be strange, but we never expected this. Some say it might be a reaction to a burst of cosmic radiation or a solar storm slamming into the probe. Maybe, but no natural force we know arranges data like that. No known physics shuffles randomness into meaningful patterns that seem to speak. Others whisper of things we dare not say too loud. That maybe Voyager 2 didn't just react to something. Maybe it met something. Something that doesn't speak in our language, that doesn't blink in our direction, but still notice that tiny machine trespassing on its edge of existence. A presence. Not a voice or a face or a ship, just something. For those who spent their careers listening to Voyager, it's personal. They speak of it as if it were alive. Not just circuitry, but a traveler. A brave, fragile messenger of humankind, wandering through the cold to carry our voice beyond the stars. And now that voice might have been heard. And maybe, just maybe, it was answered. In the days that followed, silence became unbearable. Engineers sent signals, pinged commands, tried everything they could to bring Voyager 2 back. But space had closed its mouth. The deep black nothing swallowed every attempt like it had been waiting to. There was no error tone, no static reply, just absence. And in that void, the last strange message sat heavy, like a ghost they couldn't shake. The deeper they looked into it, the stranger it became. No one could recreate it. No simulation matched. The transmission structure resisted explanation. Patterns that didn't belong to Earth's technology. Timings that seemed impossibly deliberate. Experts from every field, cryptographers, physicists, even linguists, were called in. They weren't trying to fix a machine anymore. They were trying to understand a message. What made it worse wasn't just the possibility that Voyager had seen something, it was that it may have understood, in its own limited dying way, that something was different, that something was wrong. The idea clawed at the edge of reason. What if this wasn't just the last gasp of a machine running out of power, but a warning, a desperate signal from a scout lost in a land no one had ever seen? And in that possibility, something shifted. People stopped seeing Voyager 2 as just hardware. They began to feel like it had gone somewhere real, somewhere that changed it, like a soldier who comes home with haunted eyes and won't talk about what happened. It's just a machine, everyone says. But machines don't scream into the void with prime numbers. Machines don't break silence with encoded patterns when they die. Back at Mission Control, the ones who'd grown old with Voyager stared at the now blank screen, remembering the years it had surprised them. How it kept going long after its expiration. How it had faced Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, all of them giants, and survived. How it had kept whispering back even as the cold of interstellar space threatened to smother it. They remembered how proud they were every time it sent even the tiniest bit of data. And now, this. Some began to whisper in the halls, away from press and reports. Theories that no one wanted to put in writing, that Voyager 2 might have passed through something not just physical, but intelligent. A region of space shaped not by gravity or plasma, but by thought or intention. Maybe not a being, but something stranger, an intelligence woven into space itself. The idea sounds insane, like something out of a movie. But then they go back to the signal, the way it broke every model, the way its structure lined up with mathematical beauty, too precise to be chance. And that's when even the most grounded minds began to falter. Because if this wasn't noise, if this was real, then Voyager 2 was trying to tell us something before it was taken. Or worse, before it changed. What if it didn't just die out there? What if something reached in and turned it off? Or reprogrammed it? What if the signal we got wasn't from Voyager at all, but something using its voice? There's no proof, not yet, but the fear isn't in what we know. It's in what we don't. And the longer the silence stretches, the deeper that fear settles in. What if we poke too far beyond our reach? What if the universe isn't empty, but waiting? And now we've knocked on a door we were never meant to find. There's a certain grief that comes with silence, especially when it follows a voice you've grown used to hearing. Voyager 2 had become more than a machine. It was a memory that never faded, a signal that always returned, like a heartbeat in the dark. But now the stillness feels final, like the universe has closed its hand around something fragile and won't give it back. In the weeks after the transmission, teams continued their watch. Not because they thought Voyager would suddenly come back online, but because hope is stubborn. The deep space network sat like a cathedral. Vast dishes pointed toward nothingness, straining to hear something, anything. Every passing hour without a whisper made the truth harder to deny. Voyager 2 might be gone, but that final message, it refused to be forgotten. What remains of that strange transmission is now stored in dozens of secure databases, passed between minds who know what's at stake. They've dissected every frequency, every packet of information, every pause and pulse. And still, no answers. Only more questions. Some believe it could be a preview, a glimpse into what lies beyond the protective bubble of our solar system. Beyond the warmth of the sun, there might be zones of space that behave in ways we can't yet imagine. Energies that distort not only instruments, but intention. Others quietly think Voyager might have touched something that watches from the other side of silence. Not life as we know it, not aliens with ships or languages, but something older, stranger, something that doesn't knock, but waits. What chills most of them isn't the content of the message. It's the fact that it happened at all, that a probe, on the edge of dying, suddenly changed course. Not in movement, but in behavior. That in its final breath, it didn't just say goodbye, it reached. There's a quiet war happening behind closed doors, between those who insist this must be a natural anomaly and those who no longer believe in coincidence. Between the need to remain grounded in science and the dawning awareness that maybe science hasn't caught up yet. And then there are the philosophers, the poets in lab coats, the ones who look at Voyager 2 not as an end, but a beginning. They say this is what exploration means. Not comfort, not control, but mystery. The unbearable, thrilling sense that we are not at the center of everything. That somewhere out there, in the dark ocean we've barely started to sail, something saw our flickering light and flickered back. The golden record on board Voyager. Remember that? A gift from Earth, full of music, languages, and photographs of our fragile blue planet. For decades, it floated unnoticed, a bottle in a cosmic sea. But maybe, just maybe, someone found it, or something. And instead of answering with language or music, they answered with a pattern. One we don't yet understand. Maybe this is the beginning of contact, not a conversation, just a gesture, a nod in the darkness. Maybe not meant for us at all, but meant because of us. In the silence that follows, we're left with a decision. Do we retreat, scared of what we've touched? Or do we step forward, knowing that wonder comes with risk? That the greatest discoveries often begin not with answers, but with fear? Voyager 2 may never speak again, but in that last strange breath, it gave us something no telescope, no rover, no lab could, a question that reaches past science and into the soul. Are we alone, or were we never alone to begin with? Whatever the truth is, one thing is certain. Voyager didn't just send back data, it sent back mystery. And that mystery is now ours to carry, to explore, and to never stop asking about. In its silence, Voyager 2 speaks louder than ever before, and the stars are listening.